welcome back to my channel. My name is Laura and today I'm doing a summer wrap-up. That's June, July, and August. I read 40 books, so I'm going to tell you the 40 books and what I rated them, and then at the end of this I will pick 5 of my favorites and I will share that. So I am going to be using my trusty journal. This is the journal I'm using for 2015. So let's start off with June. In June, I read The Girl in 6E by A.E. Torr, 5 stars. I then read The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime by Mark Hayden, and I gave it 3.5 stars. This one. The next book I read was Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. I gave it 2 stars. The next book I read was Slam by Colleen Hoover. I gave it 4.5 stars. The next book I read was My Sunshine Away by M.O. Walsh, and I gave it 3 stars. The next book I read was What I Thought Was True by Huntley Fitzpatrick, and I gave it 2 stars. The next book I read is Adultery by Paulo, I don't know how to say his last name. I read this one, I gave it 5 stars. Okay, and the last book I read in June was Attack on the Titan, a graphic novel, and I gave it 3 stars. Okay, starting in July, I read Screwdriver by Alice Clayton, 3.5 stars. Then I read The Secrets We Keep. I gave it 4 stars. And that is, by Tricia Lever. The next book I read was Dark Places by Gillian Flynn. I gave it 4 stars. The next book is a graphic novel. I read Lock and Key by Joe Hill. I gave it 4 stars. The next book I read was Chew, graphic novel 3 by, John Layman, and I gave it 4 stars. The next book I read was Heartbeat by Sharon Creech, and I gave it 4 stars. The next book I read was The Prince by Kira Cass. This is a novella, and I gave it 4 stars. The next book I read was Does This Beach Make Me Look Fat by Lisa Scatolini, and I gave it 3 stars. The next book I read was The Harry Potter Goblet of Fire, and I gave it 3 stars. The next book I read was Please Ignore Vera Dietz by A.S. King, and I gave it 4 stars. The next book I read was Nimona, graphic novel, and I gave it 5 stars. The next book I read, I gave Cinder by Marissa Meyer, and I gave it 2.5 stars. The next book I read was Throne of Glass by Sarah J. Maas, and I gave it 3 stars. Oops, sorry. The next book I read was Girl Stolen, and I gave that 3.5 stars by April Henry. The next book I read was Once by Morris Gleitzman, and I gave it 5 stars. The next book I read was Among the Hidden, and I gave by Margaret Peterson Haydix, and I gave it 3.5 stars. The next book I read was Leaving Time by Jodi Picoult, and I gave it 4.5 stars. Okay, the next book I read was Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ning, and I gave it 4 stars. The next book I read was The Replaced by Kimberly Durding, and I gave it 3 stars. The next one is Ask the Dark by Henry Turner, and I gave it 4.5 stars. The next book was Scarlet. I gave it by Melissa Meyer. I gave it 3.5 stars. The next book I read was Alex and Ada, and I don't know the author's name. It's a graphic novel. I gave it 2 stars. It's this one there. The next one was The Guest Cottage by Nancy Thayer, and I gave it 4 stars. And I'm starting August now. I Will Save You by Matt De La Pena, 4 stars. Morning Glories, I gave it 3 stars. I only read volume 1. The next one was 3 by Ted Dekker. I gave it 4 stars. Aristotle and Dante and the Secrets of the Universe. I gave it 4 stars. Crest by Marissa Maya. I gave 3 stars. Every Last Word. I gave it 4 stars, and that's by Tamara Island Stone. 4 stars. The next book was Laris, book 1. I gave it 4 stars. That's this one here. Then I read The Giants Beware, and I gave that one 4 stars. I was looking for my rating. And the last one that I read for the month of August was Me Before You, and I gave it 4 stars by Jojo Moyes. Okay, my top 5. Counting down. My book number 5 will be Nimona by Noelle Stevenson. And number 4, Once by Morris Gleitzman. What's this one here? Number 3, Adultery by Paulo Colascino. Number 2, Slam by Colleen Hoover. Of course she's going to be in there. My number 1 book was the first book I read in June, was The Girl in 6E by A.R. Torr. I can't wait to read her next book. So anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Bye!